Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mineo, CEO of the experience agency D Flash. This is part of my 29 Days of Magic series, and I'm super psyched to have Elizabeth Whittaker-Walker, who's the founder and principal of Raymond Whittaker Design, and we're going to talk about starting a business, growing, and learning from each other. It's going to be a fantastic conversation. Take a listen. Hey, Elizabeth, great to have you on the show.
Hey, Laura, how are you?
It's winter.
Yes, it is.
I want warm weather. It's just a thing I want. Just a little bit. So I'm super psyched on having you on the show. And as we were chatting, it's always great when I have the first question that everyone answers, and the answers are really kind of fun. And I think you're going to be no different. So Elizabeth, what was your first job?
Oh, my first job was when I was 4 years old. I was doing nails. I was traveling to different family members' houses. I even had a piece of cardboard with like sample nail designs that they could pick the color and the picture that they wanted on their nails. So I was a business owner at 4.
Time out. How? How? Were you a design prodigy, or they just were paying you to go away?
I like to think that I was given the best manicures in these Detroit streets, but
at 4, you were precocious as hell.
Right. But you'll have to ask them. But I was very proud of my work, and I did have repeat customers. So hopefully, that said something about the early work.
Wow. Well, I gotta say, in 70 plus interviews, you by far have broken the most child labor laws at starting work at age 4. And I think I need to report someone in Detroit, because what is going on? And what oh my word. Okay. All right. So you were seriously breaking child labor laws. And so from breaking child labor laws at age 4, how did you get to be sitting next to me now?
Well, it's been quite a journey. And I like to think that phenomenal women are connected to phenomenal women, and excited to be connected with you. My current work, I started my career, I should say, after my early career in nail design in kindergarten. I began my career in education as a teacher. I taught English, I taught history, and actually later helped to start a school. I was a founding teacher at a school in Chicago. I've taught all over the country. And then I moved into curriculum development and eventually became a school leader. I led an African-centered school in Detroit, and I advised school leaders across the country on culturally responsive education. Well, when I was in education, I started to see that there were some challenges. Some of the challenges, the biggest challenges that we faced inside of school were because of issues that were happening outside of the building. And I realized that there were not enough folks in the public policy space who actually had backgrounds in education. My educational background happened to be in public policy and in education, and I thought it was important at that time to transition to lend my voice into the policy sphere and to help to advocate for educational equity. So I did that for some time, and then I started to see a number of things. One, that the pipelines of leadership in the policy realm and the government realm did not reflect the communities who were being served by these leaders. And so I did a lot of work around diversity, equity, inclusion to increase pipelines of Black folks, Native folks, APIA folks, LGBTQ plus folks, underrepresented folks in the policy sphere, specifically who had backgrounds in education. Did that for some time, and I started to see that there was another piece that was missing, and that was how the dollars were circulating. I realized that while I had and other people in the education space, policy space, knew how to write their tails off of a grant, that and the other, but when it came to organized philanthropy, it was a very closed leaders in maximizing their impact to create equity. So I dived into the philanthropic sector. In that role, I contributed over $1 million for the state of Michigan to do
Wow.
work around racial equity. And that work is still happening. And in doing all these different things, I started to wonder, well, what could it be like if I built something that took all the pieces, my background in education, my background in public policy, my background in instruction and training, and brought it all together. But not only that, I realized that I needed to create like some sustainability. I'd have like 10 meetings a day, wasn't sustainable. I have a family and like them and actually wanted to see them and spend
Life
time.
actually happened.
Right. And so I was like, well, what would happen if I built something of my own, built a firm of my own that not only lifted the practices of work that was most important to me, but also I created a work environment that worked for people like me and people not like me, but like that really supported wellness, that supported sustainable workloads while doing impactful work. And that's when I launched Raymond Whittaker.
Wow. Like, that's an incredible story. Wow. So you launched Raymond Whittaker. What exactly is it?
So Raymond Whittaker Design is a consulting firm committed to equity-centered leadership and organizational development. Our goal is to build a more just world, one person, team, and institution at a time. And we do that through strategic planning, facilitation, program design, and executive coaching.
Wow. So you took every single thing that you were doing previously, like, you know what? Business. So how was that road to sort of decide, you know what, I've been doing all this stuff, but I want to become an entrepreneur and get more balance? Like, what was the thing that sort of finally made you say, like, I'm going to hang my own shingle?
Well, I was driving home, car thinking, what am I doing? Like, what am I, 12 meetings in a day? Some weeks I would be working in a different city every day of the week. And I told myself there is another way. I think that was when I gave myself permission to do something else. In that moment, driving home. And I thought about it, and it took me some time to really figure out what the something else or something different was. But that was when I decided, I have brought a lot of resources to a lot of institutions. I've made a lot of institutions a lot of money. I've helped a lot of people along the way. What would happen if I took these values that I hold and took these experiences like 15, 20 years later? I figured if it didn't work, I'm employable. I can always.
You had a fallback plan.
Right. But I didn't want to live life not trying. So starting my own business was simultaneously one of the most scary things I've ever done, but also one of the most liberating things I've ever done.
And, so how many years now are you into this crazy mad world that we all call entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So I just wrapped up my first full year.
Wow. You made it. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. It's been a good year.
And you didn't collapse. Step one.
I did. I didn't collapse. All the bills are paid. We're in good shape.
Roof over your head.
Right. I did work in, across 5 states and probably 15 cities, impacting our strategic planning work, impacted about 25,000 people this year. And so I'm proud of what we've been able to do.
And, that's the thing that I think oftentimes people, you're either made for entrepreneurship or you're not made for entrepreneurship. And I think you learn, it takes about a month to let you know whether or not you're going to be made for it, because all of a sudden there's no longer a safety net. You're like, wait a minute, you got to pay your own damn bills. Like taxes, those are yours. You want to pay for your internet? That's you. Right. And so you quickly realize, is that something you're okay with, or you're like, you know what, not so much. What's been the thing you would say has been the biggest challenge going in on your own, especially in such a specialized sector?
Sure. Let's see, the biggest challenge. I think At the very beginning, getting started, and like when that first potential client approaches you, or you approach that first potential client, and you don't know how it's going to go. You're like asking you've done all your market research, and you're like, okay, like, what are they going to say when I put this price out there? Or what are they going to, like, you don't know. Like, I think like the nerves and the uncertainty, like the not knowing, like before the contract is drafted, before all those things, I think your mind goes through like all of these what if scenarios. Getting out of your own head, I think, is the most challenging thing. Anything else, like, you can find money. Like, if you have to like bake pies, if you have to cut hair, and I can do both of those things, and was prepared to if I needed to. But like
baking pies too.
Hey, by any means necessary. But like getting out of your own head, quelling the anxiety that can kind of stir, like pushing back against that imposter syndrome that far too many of us as Black women, wrestle with every single day, moment to moment even. I think if you can get past those things, I mean, like, we're descendants of the people. We're descendants of like the archetype of humanity. Like, that's who we are. And so if we can create civilization, if our great grandparents can, put their children through school, as a seamstress, as a barber, as a cook, if they can do that, surely with their genes, their good genes and their good blood, with our faith, all the things that help to make us us, surely we can do anything that we set out to do. So we're the descendants of the archetype of humanity. Like, that's our people. If we can build civilization, not just a civilization, but like start it, right? Start civilization.
We're the originators.
If our like great grandparents can come out of the fields and at night, cook, to at least try. Exactly. There are obstacles, there are barriers, but surely we can do it. Like, we got good genes.
Exactly. So, now that you're sort of in this space where you sort of struck it on your own, and you're into it, you survived, congratulations, because the first year is always the hardest. You're sort of 1 year into it. Looking back on all of your journey to get to sort of now becoming an entrepreneur, what would you tell 25-year-old Elizabeth?
Ooh, what would I tell 25-year-old Elizabeth? 25.
I know, it was 10 minutes ago.
Right. I received that. Thank you.
Black reps never.
At 25, I was a new mom. I was recently divorced. It was a point in my life where I had to start over. And it was scary. I didn't know how things were going to look. I didn't know any of those things, but I trusted that things would get better and things would be brighter. I would tell 25-year-old Elizabeth to keep going. You're on the path. I know things look a little scary right now. I know things are shaky. I know your life just got turned upside down. In a little while, it's going to be all right.
Wow. That's, I think, what we look back on it. I think we always remember how resilient we are, and we don't, and that's the thing that, no matter wherever you are today, you're still standing. And
yep.
So, and that's sort of the mark of resiliency. And it's also kind of part of the reason I wanted to do this series, because I wanted to show that, like, the everyday Black woman is just doing the damn thing and needs to be celebrated and lifted up, because like that's how we can show everybody else that you are stronger than you know so much that and when the craziness happens, you'll figure it out. No matter what it is, you'll figure it out.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're in Detroit. It's cold as hell.
Yeah, it is.
But I gotta know, what is your thing that you do for Elizabeth? So is that Real Housewives? Is it the spa? Is it somewhere where you can get your nails done and everyone will leave you alone? Like, what's the thing that you do for your self-care? Because, especially with the series that I'm doing, Black History Month, I really want to show that it's really important that, especially Black women, know to take care of themselves and take a break and put themselves first. So I'd
Yes.
love to hear what is you do.
Sure. So there are a couple things I do. I'm going to talk about like taking the time to stop whatever I'm doing, to light a candle and to remember that there's light. It forces me to slow down. It forces me to be quiet. Anytime I look at the light, I'm looking at it right now.
It's right there.
I look at it like whoever I'm talking to. I mean, if I happen to be in my home office, of course, I remember that. Usually it's a fragrant, candle. Like, so I got my aromatherapy happening and it helps me to
What's your scent?
I love peppermint and pine mixed together.
Interesting. Oh.
Yes.
So peppermint and pine candle, you light it. How long do you let it run for?
As long as I am near it. So I buy lots of candles.
Same. We good. It's
I buy lots of candles. I would say the second thing I also do, I pray when I wake up in the morning. I just give thanks. I ask for covering and protection. And I always ask the Creator to help me, to help the others that I'm working with. I know that if that prayer is answered, no matter how, I don't care how difficult the strategy, is that I'm working with, like, I know that if I get that help, that I'll be able to help and I'll be able to do my best.
Fantastic. So candles and prayer, amazing.
Yes.
So now that you're also going to kick ass and take names, we already know this. What's next for the company? Because like you're a year in, you survived, and you're like, all right, this is the thing I'm going to do. So what's next?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're expanding. I'm looking forward to working in some new cities in 2020. Also looking forward to developing some written resources. Everyone might not need a 6-month partnership around strategic planning, but maybe you just need some tips. Maybe you just need a guide. Maybe your team just needs a worksheet, right, to help them process something difficult. So we're going to be developing that. And also last year, personally, I started a scholarship fund for working mothers of color. Yes. Executive coaching is so transformative. And often, if you don't happen to work at an organization that provides something like that, it's not usually accessible. And so I started a scholarship for working mothers of color, 31 and older, named for my grandmother, Gloria Whittaker. She became a widow at 31, and she had to start over. And I just imagine if she had just a little bit support, how could that have accelerated her leadership? And so we started last year. We awarded 4 scholarships, and looking forward to growing the scholarship fund.
Oh, phenomenal. How can people sign up and find out about that?
I will be posting an announcement on the Raymond Whittaker Design Facebook page. So if you go to Facebook, do a search for Raymond Whittaker Design, you can stay tuned there, and also follow us on Twitter at Raymond W Design.
Perfect. So I'm putting all of this in the show notes, and because that is, you answered my next question, because I was going to say, like, do you have a give or an ask? You just did. Oh, no, my goodness. But especially part of the series, like, how can we be helpful? Like, how can our audience? Like, because I'm going to put this question in this in the show notes. So, like, what's something that we can help you with?
Sure. Well, first, thank you for asking. I would say to spread the word about our work. If you know someone who's looking for an exceptional facilitator, if you know an organization that needs support with strategic planning, someone who needs a good executive coach, you're trying to plan a program, whether it's a fellowship, whether it's a one-day thing, whether it's a board retreat, whatever it happens to be, we got you. Our whole team are committed, amazing people of color. We have collectively about 35 years of experience, and we do exceptional work. So please think of us.
Awesome. So we're going to put all this information in the show notes. Links to the website. Elizabeth is phenomenal. So, like, take my word for it. You've got to go hire her. And also, like, it's also the fact that you're giving a scholarship for executive coaching, which I that's phenomenal, because I know for myself, like, it's been game changing for me to have that. And I think oftentimes, especially as Black women in business, we can do everything by ourselves. No.
Yes.
Meet somebody who's not a family member, a girlfriend, or a significant other, who will give us honest advice, but also rock solid support in our careers.
Absolutely.
So the fact that you're doing that is just, it's wonderful. And I can't wait to see where you go next. So Elizabeth, this was phenomenal and wonderfully unexpected, because like I deliberately don't look. I'm just like, all right, awesome women, come to me. So that I can just have a great conversation without any sort of preconceived notions. And I'm just thrilled to death that you were able to come on the show and share your incredible story with us. And so thank you.
Oh, thank you, Laura. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. And thank you. And that is our show.